now by Senator Gary Peters of Michigan, who's the only Democratic freshman elected during the last midterm election, 2014, when 12 Republican freshmen were elected, and who hails from a state that, as we all know, Donald Trump won last year to the surprise of many. And Senator, from your unique perch in Michigan, from the perspective of someone who managed to win a victory in 2014 against the odds with an electorate unfavorable to Democrats, what's your lesson from last night?
Well, I think the most encouraging lesson that I see from last night was just the incredible turnout of people. In Virginia, a record turnout of folks who showed up. And basically, I'm seeing in Michigan an energy that I haven't seen in years. Democrats who want to make sure their voice is heard. They want to get involved in politics. They're finding ways that they can interject themselves into this debate. And I think they're very motivated to vote, but we didn't really have a test of that until last night. And Virginia, I think, showed that when Democrats come out to vote, we win. And if we can keep that enthusiasm going into the midterms, it's going to have a significant impact in Michigan, and I think in a lot of other states as well.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think there was a special election in your state in the Upper Peninsula in a district that had gone +4 for Trump that won +20 to the Democrats last night, to your point. What do you say to people who say, well, look, Hillary Clinton won Virginia anyway. She won New Jersey. New York City's a very Democratic town. The House delegate races were largely won in districts that Hillary Clinton won. From someone who's in Michigan, where Donald Trump did manage to win that state, what do you say to that?
Well, I say you just have to look at the numbers of turnout. Still, although those states did vote Democratic, in Virginia's case, you had a huge surge. If I recall, just before the election, all the polls showed that race was going to be very tight. When everybody counted the ballots, it wasn't tight. It was a pretty big victory. So that shows a surge of Democratic voters coming out. I think we're going to see that in Michigan in 2018, as long as we can keep this kind of enthusiasm. You mentioned the race up in the Upper Peninsula. That was a race the Republicans thought they could win. They put in substantial resources, and the Democrat won in a place that is sometimes not real friendly to Democrats. So those are all very encouraging signs, but I would also say we can't let up the energy. We can't let up our focus in making sure we have a positive message talking about opportunity for all Americans. Democrats have to be for something, and when we are for something and when we are aggressive talking about that, we get our people out and we win.
How does this affect what happens on Capitol Hill in the Senate, particularly with tax reform? What do you see as the reverberations?
Well, I would think Republicans would want to take a hard look at this tax bill that's before us now. This tax bill is skewed heavily to very wealthy folks getting the majority of the tax cuts, and middle-class folks are left with a very small piece of the benefit. And it should not be about just passing a bill. I think the Republicans make a big mistake if they think they just have to pass a bill. I would argue you actually have to pass a good bill that helps middle-class families and those who aspire to be in the middle class have money in their pocket, have the ability to make sure that they can pursue their version of the American dream. If they see a bill that's stacked in favor of the wealthy, of corporations, of a bill that eliminates the alternative minimum tax, which means that wealthy folks may not even have to pay taxes, that's not going to help the Republicans. And in fact, it'll only drive even more turnout from some of our base voters.
You were one of a number of Democratic senators, if I'm not mistaken, who's on a phone call with the president trying to sell this tax bill. And the theory of the case here is that folks like yourself in states that he won, and states like Ohio, or Sherrod Brown, I think, was also on the call, it's going to be very hard for you to vote against this tax bill. The president also said that his accountant's telling him he's going to get killed in this bill, but he needs the estate tax repealed. Like, what did he tell you in that phone call?
Yeah, it was a bizarre call, and he did say that rich folks like himself were going to get killed in the bill. But even though, of course, that's counter to all the experts and the facts of this bill, where folks like Donald Trump are going to do very well. In fact, we don't have his tax record, so it's difficult to know exactly the impact on him. But the one tax record we do have, we know the only reason he paid tax is because of the alternative minimum tax. And under this bill, that alternative minimum tax is eliminated. It puts a $750 billion hole in the deficit, and it basically eliminates the tax that we know, at least in that 1 year, that's why Donald Trump paid his taxes. The American people are not going to stand for that. If they see a bill that basically gives rich folks a free pass, that's not going to be a good bill going into election time in 2018.
Yeah, given the contours of this bill, given the fact the president won your state and he's going to be pushing hard for it, and given what happened last night, do you feel political pressure to support this bill?
I want to support a good bill. I believe that we should do tax reform. We should make the system more efficient. We should make it fair. But we should focus on folks who need that relief, which are middle-class families and those who aspire to be in the middle class. That's the kind of bill that I want to support. We were hoping we could try to find some bipartisanship in doing that. Past tax reform bills, the one that passed, the last major one, received over 90 votes in the United States Senate. But we can't do that when the Republicans shut down the process. They may be putting out a bill tomorrow or the next day and then doing a markup as quickly as Monday without any kind of Democratic input into this bill. I can't support a bill if we don't have input and if working people in this country are not benefited. I'm certainly not going to support a bill that only helps those at the very top of the income scale.
All right, Senator Gary Peters of Michigan, thanks for being with me tonight.
Good to be with you.
I'm joined now by Jess McIntosh.